homogeneity. And this heterogeneous customer base that we have, or the market that we have, has to be converted into important homogeneous segments, and we need to target these individual segments with different type of strategies. So you need to have a strategy for the different segment of customers, which exactly are going to be your consumers, and basically you have to address on the basis of certain common characteristics that they have. That exactly calls for this chapter, that is identifying market segments and targets. How do you actually do something which is called as strategic marketing, and that is segmenting, targeting, and positioning. And for doing that, you need to understand the segments and the targets, and then address these different type of market segments. It could be on the basis of, let's say, geography, or the demographics, or psychographics, or their behaviorals. On the those basis, they can be segmented. So if you recall, in our last class, when we were before holy breaks, we decided to discuss a small case study about Horlicks, and we did this case study called the Women's Horlicks, wherein the punchline was Women's Horlick Shakti Andar Se. And I did try to tell you that Horlicks, actually, that is the brand by GlaxoSmithKline. They decided to enter into a new segment based on migrating from children to the adult and the elderly people, wherein they came up with new products, which was junior Horlicks. They came up with the Horlicks 1, 2, 3. Then they came up with Horlicks for the mothers, that is called Women's Horlicks, and then they came up with a Horlicks for the elderly, that is effectively for people who exactly had micronutrient requirement, or people who exactly had fiber requirement, or who had low added sugar requirement. So a product for them as well. So effectively, they decided to look into these three segments of the market. That is, one was the segment that is the small children, happened to be one segment. One segment were the mothers, and the third segment was the adults. So they basically looked into the entire product. They came up with three different variants of the product, and each segment was targeted differently, with different type of ads, different type of products, with different type of brands, promotions, and so on and so forth. So basically, this is exactly what we intend to be doing in this entire aspect, wherein we would be trying to look into. We have some people waiting. We would be trying to look into aspects related to the basis for customer segmenting and targeting, and then positioning. So effectively, that happens to be the reason for taking up this specific chapter, and which is a very important aspect for any sort of a marketing activity. So towards segmenting any sort of a market, that is market segmentation, targeting, and positioning. So it's called as STP, and that exactly is what we intend to be looking. So looking at the learning objectives, we want to see how companies divide consumer markets into different segments, how business markets must be segmented. So consumer market need to be segmented differently, business markets needed to be segmented differently, government markets needed to be segmented another way, which exactly happens to be the most attractive target market, how the company should choose that, and what exactly is the requirement for effective segmentation, and the different levels of segmentation that exactly exist. So basis for consumer segmentation, as I said, the market segment happens to be a group of consumers who basically share similar set of needs and wants. And this could be on the basis of geographic segmentation, demographic, psychographic, or behavioral segmentation. Okay, so let us exactly see what we mean by these different type of segmentation. Now, if you're looking at this one, towards geographical segmentation, we would be using certain type of geographical units, like for example, nations. It could be the states within a nation. It could be the regions, country, cities, or even neighborhood. We have something which is called as the aspect which is called as Nielsen's Claritas Prism. Now, this exactly is a type of a segmentation on the basis of which we exactly can be segmented. On the basis of geographic segmentation happens, and here this sort of a mechanism is used, called as the Claritas Nielsen's Claritas prism, which is used for segmenting. Now, here, if you look at the geographical segmentation, we exactly have a lot of a diversity in our country. And if you look at the type of people living in these different type of locations, they have got different type of requirements. If you look at the South Asian countries, especially in the Indian context, we have got hot and dry summers, and pretty where basically air coolers or desert coolers are used. So technically, if you're looking at the summer three seasons, where they have got a very different type of a product, but in certain seasons where exactly there are coastal seasons where the climate is hot and humid during summers, where air coolers can never be used. So effectively, you see, on the basis of different type of segments or the different type of regions in a city, in a country, we've got different type of products. Also, food habits are also very, very different. For example, if you're looking at the southern states, like for example, Tamil Nadu, they prefer fresh brewed coffee. If you're going to have a filter coffee in South India, while consumers in many other in the Indian states, like for example in Aligarh or in northern part, we prefer tea. So effectively, even the taste and the quality parameter of the tea is also different when you're looking at tea which has been consumed in the northern part of the India to the eastern part of the India to the northwestern part of the India. In the northwestern part of the India, that is in Kashmir and other place, they have something called as kawa, and that's called as herbal tea, or which has saffron and dry fruits which are added to the green tea. But if you're having tea in the eastern part of the country, that is northeast, for example, or for example the northeastern part of there, you have the Darjeeling tea or the green tea or the yellow tea. That exactly is consumed because they have got a different way of drinking tea. But in if you're looking at the central India, then we have got exactly a different variant of tea. We will basically not be having the tea which exactly is consumed over there. That is the that's called the dum tea. Or we would be actually boiling the tea leaves with the milk and probably adding a lot of sugar to it, and then trying to boil it and then trying to make a concoction of it and then drink it. So effectively, it's again on the basis of taste. You basically have different type of products which can be targeted in different type of places. Like for example, we as I said that Darjeeling and Nilgiri tea are consumed in a different way. They're not consumed in the same way that the normal the CTC leaved, that is curl turned cured leaved tea, that is the red label, or the tea which exactly is used in the central part of the country. I would be taking up a very interesting case study about a tea brand as well. But now what happens is, let's say for example, towards ready to eat food, we've got certain companies which exactly decided to look into this small segment, and they try to look into the cross cultural or the cross gastronomic taste define of the different type of Indian consumers. So effectively, we've got certain brands which came up, like for example, a food brand like packaged food brand like MTR. Now, MTR, they decided to assess the taste and flavor preference of food for the different regions. And in the same, they have something called as curry powder or pickles. If you look at MTR pickles, which exactly has a different type of a flavor for across the different country. Or if you're looking at Ashirwad, the brand, which exactly is by ITC. So effectively, many companies, they consider designing the physical distribution as well as the logistic operations on the basis of geographic segmentation. So effectively, we also have the domain of something called as segmenting rural markets also can be done here in that context as well. Because we have got different type of socio-economic classification also that goes into the domain of geographic classification. There could be some segments which could be very affluent. There's some segments which could be very economically conscious, and so on and so forth. So on the basis of these five domain, we exactly would be looking at the Nielsen's Claritas prism, that is education and affluence, how people are educated, what exactly is their family cycle, life cycle, urbanization, how urbanization exists in the society, race and ethnicity, and mobility. Are they mobile or are they static in one specific point of a place? So this is towards something called as geographic segmentation. So you see, when we're talking about the examples of this prism clusters, we've got the young digitarati. Now, young digitarati means these are people who are young people and they are very tech savvy, or these are couples who are living in fashionable neighborhoods of urban fringes. They're highly educated, like for example people who are living in Noida, or people who are living in Indrapuram in Ghaziabad, or in Gurgaon, that is adjoining the NCR region. Now these would be the people who are living in vertical cities in different colonies, and they are basically having a different type of a lifestyle. So they would be going down to restaurants to have their foods. They would be having typically working 9 to 5 type of husband wife both earning. The young people who just joined corporate jobs, generally out from the colleges and the professional institutes. They go to fitness clubs. They have a clothing boutique, casual restaurants, and types of bars from juice to coffee to microbrew. These basically comprise of a category of a consumer within the geographic segmentation called as the young digitality. And then we have got the Beltway boomers. Now, this is exactly a huge baby boomer cohort, college-educated at upper and middle class, home owning in a Beltway boomer. That is, they have peers who married late. Those boomers are still raising children and a comfortable suburban subdivision, pursuing kid-centered lifestyle, and so on and so forth. Then we have the cosmopolitans, that is educated, mid-scale, multi-ethnic. These are people like, for example, if you're looking at, we have a similar type of a trend in the Indian domain as well. They have a vibrant social scene surrounding people. We've got then older people, homes, apartments, residents. They have got a nightlife and they enjoy leisure and intensive lifestyle. So this basically could be some of the examples of prism clusters, but you can always Google and look into more dimensions which exactly exist for this level of geographic segmentation. Now we will be looking into the second type of a segmentation, which is called the demographic segmentation. Now here, if you're looking at, we've got exactly 6 levels of sub-segmentation within demographic segmentation. First happens to be the age and the lifestyle. Okay. Now here, for example, you've got young children. Here consumers, they want to actually, they have the ability to change with their age. There are many products, like for example, for young kids, they have toys, books, magazine, digital games, candies, chocolates, biscuits, fruit juices, packaged foods, etc. So youngsters are very active and also connected right now with the social networking, since basically most of them are connected online with their education in the COVID times. And you see, they have a lot of knowledge about the things which are exactly there, which exactly are present online for them. Things like, for example, Maggie noodles. It's one product by Nestle, which exactly is a very important aspect when we look into demographic segmentation within age and life cycle stage. Other thing is Lay's potato chips, Kurkure, or aerated drinks. Then company like, for example, if you're looking at Walt Disney trying to target this segment, that is with Jetix, Hangama channel, trying to look at children. And also we've got channels such as, on the other hand, for elderly people, like for example, we've got a channel called Astha, or we have got another channel which is called a Sanskar, which is for catering to the older audience segment. And then we've got for a younger segment, which have got products like channels like Discovery, National Geographic, which are looking at education and entertainment. Basically, that's the aspect. Now, for example, we've got a certain type of young, if you're looking at teenagers, a product like Clearsil or cream, positioned for acne treatment of adolescents, or Glucose D, looking at youngsters or even sport enthusiasts. Then jewelry, which exactly is specifically for children. Titan, they came up with a new type of a product with the watch market, especially for small children. Like for example, they came up watch for small children, and that was called a Zoop. So effectively, these basically are looking at segmenting different type of products on the basis of demography, and that too within demography, looking at age and the lifestyle cycle. So I would be taking up one very interesting case study over here, or rather two of them, to explain you this aspect of demographic segmentation. And I will take up two products. One is Titan Zoop, the watch that I'm talking about kids. Now, Titan came up the first entry into children's watch category in India. This was through a brand called Dash, and it is targeted at children with the age group of 6 to 14 years of age. However, this brand was withdrawn because it was felt that the timing was premature, as parents were not ready to spend on kids accessory at that point of time. But subsequently, realizing the potential of this segment, Titan re-entered this market with a brand new name called Zoop. Now, the design element of these watch reflect the preference of the target segment. Watches for girls feature a range of candy colors and summer flowers, whereas watches for boys were featuring natural colors and sale elements. To retain the contemporary and to keep pace with new trends, the company launched a limited edition watch depicting the Walt Disney character. You remember this product called the Toy Story? All the elements in the Toy Story, all the different characters in the Toy Story, they came up with watches with them. The color scheme for the straps and the dials were resonate the vibrance and the bold colors for the character. Each watch had a story to tell, so which helps in connecting with the target segment. Also, the scheme that includes a pack of goodie brands that you purchase with the Zoop watch. Uh, I believe somebody has not unmuted their microphones. Mohammed Danish, can you please mute in your microphone? Thank you. Okay. So these bands can be worn as bracelets, which have become very popular among children. And also, the advertisement of the Zoop was based on the theme that today's children want one watch that reflect their personality and gain the attention of their peer groups. Um, the Be a Star advertisement campaign was aired on television, and the channels targeted at children and some in the general education channel, general entertainment channel. The brand was available for a wide range of retail points, including Titan's exclusive retail showrooms and a large format shops, as well as multi-brand shops also carried these watches. So you see, Titan, they understood that this is a segment which was not tapped for their product, and that's why basically they came up with a watch for the kids, because the idea was kids don't have the idea of having the concept of time, because we are not trying to bind kids with time, but then it's all about starting about the aspect of the knowledge of time and the level of punctuality, and breaking their schedules into the different type of activities they're doing, like play time, screen time, study time, sleep time, get up time, breakfast time. So effectively, it was good on the different variation of the type of parenting that was being done. So Titan thought that this segment was didn't have a actually a competition, and then they came up with this 6 to 14 years of children. They came up with this watch called the Titan Zoop. So effectively, this is a very important aspect that they decided to look at demographic segmentation, and then they came up with products that actually matched this specific segment, and that's exactly, it's a big success now. So that basically Titan was basically looking into it. But then I have got another product, which a case study for another product, which talks about. You've heard of this brand called Eyeball. Eyeball generally is an electronic brand, which exactly is all about. It has electronic products, especially IT products, and also it's entered into mobile phones. So we will be talking about this product called as Eyeball Asan. Now, Asan means easy. So while most cell phone brands focus on young consumers and introduce products with technology and features important to the target group, one company in India has introduced a handset specially targeted for senior citizens under the brand name Eyeball Asan. Asan means easy in Hindi. This handset has several features that are important and useful to this target segment. Like, for example, it has a talking keyboard. So the moment you press any key, it speaks out loud. So if you press one, it says in any language that you can select either ek or one. So if you press 3, it will say teen ya 3. This is a talking keyboard with large buttons. No, you know why large buttons? Because people at an elder age, they end to have some sort of a myopic vision, and then they need to actually, they have difficulty looking at micro small buttons. So if you look at a phone called E71 by Nokia, that would not be fit for a elderly population, because the print, it has a whole QWERTY keyboard in its keypad, and you cannot have an old person, because they're not very easy to punch in all those keys, and they also would have a problem reading the contents which is written on the key. So Eyeball actually came up with large buttons so that they can be easily pressed, and then talking keyboard, and the display screens are bigger fonts. So the font size is also automatically very big. The phone has a bright LED torch with a dedicated button. So you have a dedicated button, just press it and the LED torch works. A special indicator for incoming calls and alerts for missed calls and low battery charge. Now, which exactly is a challenge for certain adults, because they do not forget, they forget to charge their phone. But this phone would actually remind them if the low charge is there, that please charge the phone. One of the important features of this phone is an emergency SOS button, which, when switched on, automatically dials 5 numbers, signaling that the caller is in need of urgent attention. So let's say, for example, there's a senior who actually needs urgent attention. So it has, the moment he hits an SOS button, he does not need to call people, but it is pre-programmed that 5 people will automatically get the ring. That if one misses, the second attend, second misses, third attend. So 5 people automatically would be called at once, that this person actually needs help. So people can be actually approaching him and trying to assist him. So this is an SOS button which was there. It's a very interesting feature, and the feature of the phone makes it compatible to the needs of senior citizens. Now, let's say this is basically a type of which exactly has been designed by Eyeball to look at this segment of the society, that is age and life cycle stage. Now, if you were looking at the punchline, it says, Dadaji, you are my hero. Eyeball mobile phones. So presenting the senior mobile phones by Eyeball, a perfect gift for your elders. That's the punchline that it carries. So effectively, what happens is, this is towards the demographic segmentation that basically we decided to look into. So age and life cycle stage is a very important aspect towards any sort of a segmentation within the demographic segmentation. We've also got it for gender also. Now we've got for segmentation for gender, and then we've got the gender for segmentation for income. We've got a product which exactly is being segmenting for income. Then we have for the different type of generation, race and culture, and age and life cycle is what we've already attended. So demographics can be segmented on these 6 different dimensions: age and lifestyle, life stages, gender, income, generation, and race and culture. So with this, we basically are going to be looking at the different type of segmentations which exactly exists on the context of the demographics per se. So very quickly, let me show you, like for example, a person's major concern in life stage. Let's say there are different life stages that a person goes through. It could be getting married, it could be getting a divorce, it could be getting an appointment, or it could be getting a child in their family, or it could be getting some sort of promotion, or it could be a retirement. These are different life stages if of a person's major concern. And then we have got different products which exactly are actually eligible for that sort of a segment of a society. Let's say, for example, a person who's getting married, then we've got all sort of FMCG products which are catering to a person who's starting a newly settled family. So you have got washing machines, you've got which exactly is for a new household. Generally, we have got nuclear households these days, and so basically with a limited amount of space constraints. So we've got to look at designing products which exactly are like that. Also, for example, if you're looking at if you're if you're getting promoted and if you're buying a car, so what exactly is the requirement for the type of a vehicle that you have, and so on and so forth. Then we've got men and women have a different attitude and they behave differently. We have aspect of how people basically look at the different type of products. Like for example, you're seeing the feature product out here, which is featuring shaving shaving machine out here, which talks about a Gillette, a shaver for women. Now this is designed differently vis-a-vis a product which is a shaver for men. Uh, Basically, the design element is different because the way how people actually behave in terms of even gender, how they handle a different product. Women handle a different attitude and they behave differently, and men do it differently. I'm not trying to actually superimpose any sort of importance to any segment, but what I'm trying to say is that we have to look into the characteristics if you have to customize the product on the basis of certain segmentation perspective. And within this demographic segmentation, we have gender also very important aspect. Now I'll come up with a very interesting case study, if time permits, that generally if you look at the differentiation on the basis of gender specifically, like for example hairstyling or clothing or cosmetics or fashion accessories or magazines, there are some brands which are focused on masculine and some at feminine. Like for example, a product like motorcycles. Now that's a very interesting aspect. Motorcycles are considered for men, okay, but there are two-wheeler brands such as Bajaj Wave or Kinetic Flight or Honda Activa or TVS Scooty. Now these are targeted specifically at women. Now TVS Motors and Mahindra, they have launched scooters under the brand name called Vego and Rodeo, and respectively targeted not at men but at women. Now Van Heusen and Alan Solly, when they have primarily men's that was traditionally focused on women, has now targeted a fairness cream for men. So, fair and handsome at men is the process of creating a new product category. So, effectively, we've got gender also playing as an important role for demographic segmentation per se. Um, like even if we're looking at toilet soap segment, we've got certain things like deodorants or talcum powder or freshening products or even tooth powders. That's also categorized on the basis of the gender, and it can have a very important aspect towards segmentation of the products or brands vis-a-vis this aspect of segmentation by gender. Then coming down to the next important parameter, that is income. Now, income segmentation is a long-standing practice. That is, people with different level of income groups are segmented discriminately, or like for example, Titan, they have come up with a product called Xylix. That's a brand catering to high end of wristwatch market. Now, basically, wristwatch brands such as Rolex or Omega or Tag Heuer, these are advertised regularly in the Indian media. And if you're looking at Shah Rukh Khan, who basically is the brand ambassador for Tag Heuer watches. So effectively, here income happens to be an important domain of segmentation. Now, then, for example, if you're looking at low income segmentation, then there are certain products which exactly sachet market. Like for example, you've seen those shampoo pouches. that marketing, or the Grameen phone, one of Bangladesh's leading cell phone operators, offers a special economy package to women designated as phone ladies in small villages that do not have fixed phone lines. These phone ladies share their cell phone and other villages for a local currency called taka and for a call. In South Asia, keeping the unit price low is an appropriate packaging as one tries to lead a large consumer base and towards market exchange otherwise. So effectively, bottom of the pyramid and actually has the volumes. And that exactly is where they came up with this pouch marketing, where everything started from shampoo to detergents to or even engine oil for your two wheelers. They're also coming in small sachet. Now, effectively, we are also having an important aspect of the domain of something called a social objective of serving the needy of poor without compromising on the financial viability. In case of, there's a brand called the Arvind Eye Care System, a group of institution which is offering world-class eye care facility to poor people in rural and urban India as well. So income also happens to be a segmentation in long-standing practice, and it can be also used as a demographic segmentation. Now we come to something which is called as the generation. When I'm talking about generation, we exactly have been classified as Generation X or the Generation Y, which is the millennials or the baby boomers or the silent generation. So effectively, these are on the basis of how these different generations are also segmented, and we've got different products for that. Then race and culture. Again, in the context of race and culture, we've got North Indians, South Indians, Central Indians, East Indians, West Indians. Again, they exactly, let's say, for example, we've got the people from the Central India, the coastal parts, the hills part, the plains, and so on, and the northeastern. Effectively, on that basis, also it can be segmented. Then we've got certain type of segmentation on the basis of psychographic segmentation. That is, buyers divided into groups on the basis of psychological or their personality traits or their lifestyles or values. So I think we exactly are around 12:48, and the session I believe is for 12:50, 45, I think. For just let me just we have about 5 minutes more to go. It's about 12:50 right now. 55 is what we exactly wind up. So we've got about 4 minutes. So we'll take up psychographic segmentation in the next class. So till now, let us have a quick recap into what exactly we have covered as far as today's session was concerned. We did look into aspects related to the different type of segmentation practices, and we saw why segmentation is important per se. We looked into how to the consumers are divided into different segments, how market need to be segmented, which is the most attractive target market, requirements for effective segmentation, and different levels of market segment. These happen to be are some of our objectives that we will be attending. We've seen that the market segments are group who share similar sets of wants and needs, can be classified into geographic, demographic, psychographic, and behavioral segments. Geographic happens to be states, regions, or country boundaries. We talked about the Nielsen's Claritas uh, prism. We also looked into some of the dimensions of the examples of prism clusters. Towards demographic segmentation, we saw that the 6 factors: age, life stage, gender, income, generation, race, and culture happens to be the components of demographic segmentation. We also looked into the age and lifestyle stages, the life cycles. We looked into demographic generation, where we saw gender and income, and the different generations that exactly exist, as also the different type of race and cultures that exists. And then we were into psychographic segmentation. So that's about it for the day. If you have any query, any question, feel free to shoot. You can unmute your microphone and you can speak up. Else, I would try to stop this sharing, and then you if you have any doubts, any queries, any questions, you're most welcome to unmute your microphones and ask. We're about 2 minutes to sign out.